All of our fun, all our dedication, everything will last for Kinfinity. Everyone, Kinfinity here, and here's my review of The Blind, directed by Andrew Hyatt, starring Aaron Von Andrian, Eric Watt, Ronan Carroll, Amelia Eve, Brielle Robiller, Scarlett Abin Atti, Connor Tillman, John Alex. Oh yes, A-list. Gotta have it right. It's a good one. yes, good role. Definitely plays. Clint James. Yes. Carrie Canoop. And it is just Aaron Dollar Villa. And first and foremost, RIP to the more than change patriarch of the entire Doug Dynasty clan. Yes, rest in peace, Phil Robertson. And it's no one but God, because I chose this at the end of last year to specifically make this review to be the review for June. Yeah, so I just can't believe it. Right before I'm about to make, I was about to I just right before I rewatched it, because I saw on the morning of Memorial Day that he had passed the day before on the 25th, and of course I just couldn't believe it at the moment. So I'll touch a little bit more on that and a little bit more of what God did for him and the whole family later on. But here is 1985. Deepest Louisiana, grew up and was born in Vivian, Louisiana. 1985, Phil Robertson and his friend Big Al, who really became a friend after you see a lot of these events and how Phil, yes, need to be born again. So they're out hunting, and then Phil dives into how everything ended up here. I was able to duck hunt, still has his whole family, everyone, everything, and he dives into his family were born in Louisiana, growing up in the 1950s, but told it itself looked like the 1850s. No, yes. So it is unbelievable. Yes, how Phil, he had to step up. Him and Cy, who definitely became a character. If you watch the Dynasty and everything, definitely his character. Yes, and their sisters, how definitely Phil and Cy had to take care of the little sisters because their dad would be out working, and their mom would have these sparrows get on her, but they still had to take care of her. And then they grew up, and both Phil and Cy were on the football team. But first, while they were still kids, they've known Kay. Yes. Here it is. I'm saying the name already. I know maiden name had to have been Caraway. Oh yes, yeah. Oh, that's a little bit better than the name I was going to say. So he's just saying Callaway, but it's Caraway. Yes, definitely. So, they always seem like they were rich folks in town, since her dad owned the general store, being Willie, and her mom is Juanita. yes. But it's not. Yes. Yeah, it's not exactly what it was. They weren't exactly rich, but they seemed rich, especially to, like I said, Willie and his family. Phil and his family. This is before Willie. I was born and everything. We were Phil and his family. But Kay would stand up for the Robertsons when the other kids would be making fun of them on how they would come to school in a truck and stuff. They'd have all worn out clothes and shoes. Kay was nice to them. And now they're in high school, and here it is, 1965, I do believe. And both Phil and Cy were on the football team. And Kay was a cheerleader. And Yes, her and Phil got closer and closer. And since they become closer and closer, yes, Cave come over to the Robinson's house when things got better. Yeah, with mom. Yes, when she was good, she was great. When she was bad, she broke down. Mom, she got better at being good most of the time. Gotta give it all to G's. Lord, the only way that you're fully healed, become a new creature. Yep. So need to do that more and more. Well, Phil Gibbs, how he's getting a scholarship. Able to go to Louisiana Tech. Yes, and she just want to make sure able to keep living. She likes Kay, everything, and Cy be there too, of course. Like I said, he was there, and he was actually there on Phil and Kay's date, but then he got left in the car. Well, Phil and Kay went inside the diners. Yes, and then yes, Phil and Kay, of course, dine at Kay's house with her parents. Yeah, Phil, he's talking about how he's gotten full rides. It would be a big football star. But Kay's mom is, the one, getting all uppity, and all sorts. But how, yeah, you can keep that career. Yeah, look, you remember that, yeah, that boy across the street? He's in medical school. He's about to come out already. Oh. So it makes Phil want to leave. And Kay, of course, is apologizing for what her mom said. So wants to stay together. And but Phil, he was tired of hearing that, so he went away. But then a death happens in Kay's family. I won't say exactly who it is, but you'll hear Phil's narration. It leaves a big hole in the entire family, Kay's family. And Phil, he apologizes to Kay, and they get back together and they actually elope. They get married right here at this beautiful river, this lake, and the lake was it more officialized. Yeah, because I did not see any courtroom. So Phil is off at Louisiana Tech. Well, Kay is actually pregnant with their first son, and she was still a junior in high school. You know how it was back then, in the '60s, in Louisiana town. Everyone, of course, was looking at her, talking about him and stuff. But then Phil, he actually gives up his position, gives up his opportunity to Terry Bradshaw. We all know how big Terry Bradshaw is. Not just, you watch football for years, and not just driving down to Louisiana, see the billboards, don't stare at what they're advertising. And if you've seen, I know I've seen the trailer so many times, and I have the title deep in memory of that Matthew McConaughey and Sarah Jessica Parker getting Matthew to move out of his parents' house. Yes, the failure to launch the deepest DVD preview memories. All after Terry Bradshaw. He became big, and Phil he gave that up in order to keep hunting, and he gave the reason it was hunting season. But Big Al tells it could have been big. I mean, front of cereal box, Wheaties big. It was hunting season. So yeah, he came back and was taking care of his family, but then he got caught up in getting this job with Big Al. And like I say, Big Al's in these flashbacks. It's a different person. And then he's here, while Phil's giving the narration, talking to Big Al. Like, was that me? Yup, made this. Things started to go downhill because of who Big Al was at the moment. Yes, he got Phil a job at the school as a teacher of remedial English. And if you've seen Drake and Josh, you gotta be careful with remedial English. Do your best so you don't be in remedial English. So yes, yeah, Phil's doing a good job as a teacher. But him Big Al be in this bar too often. Big Al he gave Phil a job right at the spot at the David bar. And then Phil he then works at the bar and it's like a big part of it. Yes. So no, can't have that. While Willie and the family eventually moves on over to it's West Monroe, Louisiana. Definitely. Yes, yes. The family business. Yes. Yes, the family is originally from Vivian, Louisiana now. But the commander, where Doug Dynasty is, where the business, where the family's business, Yes, it's in West Monroe, Louisiana. But the family is originally from Vivian. Yes, I'll get into that ties a little bit into my family. It has some family roots, Louisiana, northern Louisiana. But a lot of family members, they know. Like I asked a close family member of mine, to leave it at that, and they knew about. Oh, excuse me, excuse all of it. They knew about West Monroe. Yes, they knew about it. Yeah. So, yeah, Lake Monroe, stuff like that. Yeah, this is exactly where our Princess Protection Program. It was Lake Monroe. I'm not sure they filmed it exactly there. It looked like they filmed Louisiana. If you've seen the Princess Protection Program, it is. Yes. So, Kay is of course happy for Phil, but she wants Phil to be and stay family man. Cause I say Big Al keeps getting Phil to have a drink. Come on, this is one drink, but no, they turned in the whole body, Rager. But no, no way, no wavering. So it takes a while because I feel he gets caught up in this whole bar life, and he still hunts, but he gets caught up in this bar life, missing out on his son's lives, not spending time with his family. And then Sai was in the army, and yeah, he comes back home. I do believe, right after Vietnam, I do believe he comes home and he comes and helps Kay and the boys a little bit. Yeah, definitely helps them out and tries to help out Phil. And it takes a while, and a good friend, Phil and Sai's sister, Jan Dasher, that is, brings her pastor into the bar, with the pastor being Pastor Bill Smith. Yeah. And definitely, yeah, I do believe that the friend is Sally. I do believe. Yes, and Pastor Smith. He does not go around the bush. Yeah, everything that has to be shared, not just the burning bush. Everything that God does, everything God utilizes. You know, he tells, Phil, how I have to forgive. Jesus has forgiven. Well, I think I'm going a little bit deeper, but he didn't say this specifically, but around the lines of I have to forgive you. How Jesus, he forgives us, and how we have to forgive each other, of course. Yeah, and I feel he's still living his life for a little while, but then he actually kicks Kay and the boys out of the house. And he lives in this little trailer. Yeah, it's nice size, but he jumped it up, so he lives in a mobile home for a little while. So he can't take it anymore. Then be out. I'm sorry. I said I would help you. I would help you clean it up. But it's a lost cause. And you see pan to all these broken bottles, I do believe, and all these different cans and bottles and fishing wire and hunting stuff all around. Yeah, like I say, you've hunted, Phil and his family have hunted their whole lives, basically, as soon as they were old enough to hunt. And it was actually an escape from, I said, his mom would have her spells, get out of her. Yeah, so he went right into hunting, but then the temptation of the bar and stuff. So then he finally, when he can't take it anymore, he finally allows Pastor Smith to come in, and he really wants Pastor Smith to come in. He's swiping off all of the tables, trying to get everything off. But then the floor is junked up. Pastor Smith is, of course, understand. Look, come on, our back looks good, Phil. Let's just talk out there. So now it's Pastor Bill and Phil. Pastor Smith and Phil Robertson are now talking back there, and of course, Phil lays it on Pastor Smith how he can't take it anymore. Pastor Smith gives him out. You can have a whole new life away from all this. All you have to do is accept Jesus into your life. And while this is happening, I do believe around the same time. Well, Pastor Phil, yes, yeah, Pastor Bill, yes, Pastor Smith knows that Kay and the boys have been coming to church, and now it's about Christmas time. Yeah, and so he's helping out Phil, and yeah, Phil, he finally he gets baptized. He completely, yeah, it's Christmas time. So right here, Christmas time. Yeah, so the family's back together, and while Kay and the boys are leaving from Christmas service, or at least around Christmas time, they have a Christmas tree up in the front of the church, the front lobby, the foyer. And there's these presents all out for kids, and the kids like, "Come on, can we have some?" Like, okay, just a few. Leave some for the other kids. So I would say just like one each. Like, you just take presents from a church at all. And just right here, especially when they're just here in the front display, like give it over, give kids the World Village, or, Toys for Tots. They're giving it to one of these charities or something. But yeah, she said, okay, leave some for the other kids. The accent. So one of the boys gets one of those slide up whistles, that makes the fun ooh, makes those fun sounds. And like I said, now Phil is home, and he actually he said he's borrowing, so he takes his son's little slide up whistle, and he makes it into a duck call whistle because he knows this, and he talks about in the narration, I believe, where he talks about how like you hear a duck call, like a lot of the other duck call makers, yeah, they make it pretty generic, but there's different duck calls. They're different, yeah. And like when him and Kay were younger and they were still in high school, like, he would hear a duck out on the lake, and then he would make the call, and the duck would call right back to him. And that's how you know I've been doing it forever, and you really do love it, and you do be out there, be out there in the woods, in the lake, really doing it, on the ponds and everything. That's how you know you really do know the different calls, and these other call makers that don't sound right. Yeah, there's not just one duck call. So he literally he's carving away and he's making it into a duck call whistle, and yeah, things go up from there. And you definitely go up after Big Al and the boys are here at the door. Like, come on, we have a day after Christmas tradition where we go out to the lake, do some hunting, some fishing, and then we have a big party afterwards. Come on. No, I already told y'all, get. I don't do that drinking no more. I'm a new man. The Phil Robinson you knew was dead and buried. And they just trying to laugh it off. But no, he shuts the door in their face. Laugh if you want to. But Phil's serious. God's serious. And Phil is now serious about God and being right with God. So yeah, so of course from there, the dynasty was born, was birthed. And yes, Phil and Kay, their relationship grew stronger. And yeah, then at the end, after Phil has told all this, to now Big Al has changed from his old ways. It's like I said, this is all the way up in '85 now, and like the flashbacks like went up to like the early '70s, but like now it's '85 where he was recalling all this, telling all this. And yeah, so now the boys are older, definitely. And yeah, after Phil and Big Al have been out here on the lake, the pond, with the shooting and everything, hunting. Now they have the ladies, everyone they've had a big table prepared, a big meal. So the whole family now is at the table. Yep, of course Phil prays. Yep, and yeah, and at the very end during the credits, the real Phil Robertson gives testimony. And before that, there's a beautiful, how they give the true facts of how him and Kay had been married for 61 years. But as you saw in the film, they exchanged their vows to each other in 1964, but their marriage wasn't legally recognized until 1968. So the marriage has been legally recognized for only 57 years. Yeah, like now, like literally, I said I had already planned to have rewatch this and review it back in December. But I already planned all that to do it for this year. I believe it's November, December. I plan to do all that for this year. That kind of gives it away how I plan to do these reviews and stuff. But then sometimes God, like you saw, I just did a whole bunch of reviews in a row, ending off with "God's not dead, in God we trust." Yeah, but generally have these reviews already planned out like this, and then one a month. Yes, and yeah, it was unbelievable. Like I said, this had already been planned last year. And then I had just found out that Phil had passed away. Like God knows, man, just crazy. So yeah, so rest in peace, and I'm so thankful for what God did and Phil's really willingness to not take it anymore. Yeah, of accepting God. And then, like I say, then Willie, his whole family, Willie and his wife are in the first God's Not Dead. And it's instilling in the family, that it is Jesus. It's Jesus first before any of the prestige. The only reason why you hunt for survival and to make a living, but you have true life in Jesus first. Yes. And I say, and Cy, he's a character. He stuck around with the family. He's such a character on the show. Yeah, his whole snow cone stand, and the boys were talking about how they would play war games with action figures. Like, what you talking about? I'm talking about real war. I've been seeing some of the clips on Facebook. I used to watch a little bit. Like I said, like back, like I say, like the early 2010s. There was reality show after reality show. I'm not being like the traditional reality show. Like there was Honey Boo Boo, her and her mom. There was this Cake Ball. Like there was so many different kinds of reality shows that were interesting. And Wife Swap was the best to me. Yeah, and Celebrity Wife Swap, but especially the regular Wife Swap. Because you have so many different. You have a vegan family, and there was animal, animal, conserving, animal conserving family. Yeah, and there was a hunting family, and they swap places. Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, there was a Christian family, and there was a definitely not Christian family. I'll leave it at that, and they switched places. So it was definitely interesting how they learned from each other, and what they brought home to their own families, and how their own families got stronger. So it was great. Yeah. So yeah. So definitely, and with already having a little, I didn't watch it a whole lot, and I mainly know from, but I still watched it a little bit, and I know, and we'll see clips everywhere, and it was so popular, of course. And excuse that. And of course, from the first God's Not Dead, Willie and his wife, and them really taking a stand, yeah, for their way of life, and them still, being Christians, loving Jesus before anything else. Yeah, giving everything to God love first for anything else. And yeah, moving forward from there, it was just so crazy. Yeah, like here it is. I had already planned this, but God knew. Like I said, nothing surprises God. God always surprises us. Yeah, how this had already been planned, and now here it is. So I say rest in peace, and I thank God for who He is and what He did, changing Phil Robertson, blessing the whole family, and from where the family. I know now they have Doug Dynasty, the revival now. Yeah. So yeah, just thank God, any of this was able to happen. No, thanks to God anyway. So yeah, so it's a beautiful, of course, it's a beautiful, of course, not only rags to riches, but a full blown, redemption, complete, being broken from the top, overcoming temptations, overcoming addictions, being fully reborn again, full, full arc. And these are real events that happened in real life. And all the lives that have been affected by, yeah, God being God and Phil letting God change him because he knew he couldn't take it anymore. So, yeah, it's so well done. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's really cool, especially, but even if you don't, you still follow along. But if you already know the family and the show, and know the God's Not Dead, the cameo and the ending, Phil, Willie being there, and you see what Phil went through and how the family is still moving forward. So it's amazing, and what him and Kay went through specifically. Yeah, and Sai's still there for the family. So much personality, but on God's everything. So yeah, so of course, the last week Infinity. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're ready to grow even more on your true Jesus journey, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more. And the truth is already lasting longer than any Kinfinity.